Thanks for joining us this week. The Australian Prudential Regulation Authority, known as APRA, finalised revisions to requirements and guidance associated with insurance in superannuation. To discuss what this means, along with other important financial information, is author of On My Own 2 Feet, Helen Baker. Thank you so much for joining us this afternoon, Helen. All right, we're having trouble hearing you, but Helen, these revisions are set to take place in July next year. So what do people need to think about?
Yeah, so there's a lot of things where people have insurances inside their superannuation, but they also hold some insurances outside of super as well. The ones that are inside super are particularly at risk because the legislation came in saying you needed to opt in, have a minimum balance and have active contributions, and they're different for every fund. So it's important that you check with your advisor about whether you're actually insured. We're seeing industry funds shutting down insurances very quickly. People think they have them and they've already been cancelled. So it's important that you check on those, and also for what's coming in the future, where they're going to start to look at whether your personal income, you're getting some passive income as well, and then they're going to start to cut out the payments to you based on this additional income. So what you were insured for before, you're unlikely to be insured for new policies going forward.
Helen, your book On My Own 2 Feet, it's targeted to women. 5 essential money fundamentals all women need is part of your book, and we'll bring a graphic up on the screen. Can you just run us through some of these, including be involved, career check, get good advice? I mean, there's some great ideas here.
Yeah, I think getting good advice is one of the real keys, that we often don't know what we don't know, and that's in any area. You know, if we want to go and get our car serviced, we're unlikely to service it ourselves. We take it to somebody who specialises in that area. And with everything changing constantly, terminology is difficult to understand. The big thing, I think, is about avoiding a mistake. So that the more you know and you can avoid those mistakes, that's the better. So that's the ones that make my heart sing, where people do go and get quality advice that usually pays for itself by avoiding a mistake, helping you take action, and actually stretching your money further by using strategies. You know, things like we've seen with people recently with they've gone to buy their first home and they didn't realise that they had opportunities to use the first home buyer grant. They already went to contract and therefore they can't do it. So there's opportunities there where they could have paid themselves rather than paying money to the tax office, and actually enable them to have a better deposit or a reduced mortgage. So knowing what you don't know is really key.
And having a really good backup plan as well. But there's a couple of unique money challenges, Helen, that women face and how to overcome them. One including divorce, certainly an emotional time for people going through that. Can you give us some advice on what decisions need to be made?
I'm really passionate about women understanding the need to get financial advice before they sign on the dotted line. Once you've signed on the dotted line, you can't go back. And usually the mistakes that happen in there are like tens to hundreds of thousands of dollars in mistakes. So we all know we need to go and get a lawyer to go through the divorce process, but we often don't understand what value financial advice brings. So again, having somebody working through those, you know, which assets should you take? How are you going to survive on the income going forward? How do you get those 5 foundations in place? How do you get control throughout the whole process more and more and more until you're totally an independent woman, and signing off appropriately at there, and knowing that you have enough for the future, or how you achieve what it is for the future. Having all that before you sign will give you great confidence, give you clarity and certainty about your future.
Absolutely. And, you know, we've learnt so much through the pandemic, good and perhaps not so good. What are some tips in terms of finances that you can share with us that are perhaps more good than bad?
Well, I think what we're seeing now is what they call the Great Resignation. So there are so many people leaving their jobs now, or changing where they live, changing how they work, which has been great for women. I've always been passionate about the amount of women who say to me, I'd love to just work from home a day or 2 a week. And what we've been able to demonstrate is that for a lot of people, they're actually more efficient, but they can do jobs. So one of the things I talk about is career choice gap. We know about gender pay gap, we know about retirement gap, but career choice gap where women, because they're having to care for their parents or their parents-in-law, look after kids, run the household, do everything, are choosing careers lower than perhaps what they could do just to try and work part-time hours. So given these opportunities that we have with COVID, the work from home, it gives women out there an opportunity to work, and men, to work from home, work full-time when they could only really work maybe part-time before, having that flexibility. And then, of course, the ability to maybe uproot from the city for some and go and live in regional areas and have a different kind of lifestyle.
Yeah, there's so much to think about, isn't there? And again, the silver linings of the pandemic, the tough times we've been through, certainly, an extraordinary time that we're all living in. And we've got about a minute to go. Tell us about the book, Helen, On My Own 2 Feet, and also where some of the funds go.
Yeah, so the idea with creating this book was to try and help women in the first world. Obviously, I can't see everybody and give advice to everybody, so it's a way for everyone to understand what opportunities are out there, and at the same time then we can use the profits from the sale of these books to go and help women in the third world. So at the moment we're supporting pilots who fly in and rescue women out of villages during childbirth, so we're saving 2 lives at a time. So the more that we can spread the word, we help women in the first world, and we're helping women in the third world as well.
All right, and the website, Helen?
OnYourOwn2Feet.com.au.
All right, thank you so much, Helen Baker. Take care.
Thank you. God bless.